murder. But for Kim, this is a nightmare come true because the killer is someone she knows personally and had warned police about.
You know how many times we have called the police and they just don't believe us. They just don't fucking believe us. They don't believe us.
As investigators close in on the suspect, they'll have to come face to face with a level of insanity so intense it will leave them shocked for the rest of their lives.
She went down, and the guy over the top of her just doing this.
Okay.
I think he said his mom was trying to give him a blowjob, so it's like...
Does he have any friends? Like, did he isolate himself from everybody?
His parents isolated him. He's not allowed to be around anyone anymore.
It's August the 9th, 2024. At about 4 p.m., the Green Township Police Department received an urgent 911 call from a concerned neighbor. He has just witnessed something happening next door, something he was never supposed to see.
What's the address of your emergency?
Yes, ma'am. I live at 3365 Palm Hill Lane, and my neighbors down the street, it looked like somebody ran out the yard. They were on the porch yelling help. It looks like a man was stabbing a lady and just dragged her body back inside her house.
Did you see him?
It's on the same side as my house. Yes, I saw him. He started yelling help. I saw him leaning over her on the porch. It looked like he was stabbing her. He walked back inside. She laid there, and then he just came back outside and drug her body inside.
Okay.
A neighbor on Palms Lane picked up the phone to call 911, describing something he was never supposed to witness. A man dragging a bleeding woman by the arms back through her own front door. It looked like somebody ran out the yard, he told the dispatcher. They were on the porch yelling, help. It looks like a man was stabbing a lady and just dragged her body back inside her house. He confirmed he'd seen the man directly, leaning over the woman on the porch before carrying her back in. He described her as moaning. That call sent Officer Jackson to the house on the afternoon of August 9th, 2024, in Green Township, Ohio. He had no way of knowing he was about to walk into one of the most violent scenes the department had handled. On arrival, dispatchers relayed only fragments. A stabbing, a female victim, a man on the porch covered in blood, though it wasn't yet clear whose blood it was.
Okay.
Officer Jackson is the only closest officer to be dispatched to the address. Jackson, however, is completely unaware that he's about to uncover one of the most gruesome scenes the town has ever seen.
What house am I looking for?
It's the house with the gentleman sitting on the front porch.
Okay, what is
somebody got stabbed on the front porch.
Okay, a female?
It sounded like a female. I don't know.
Jackson found 75-year-old Thomas Mortimer outside, bleeding from stab wounds to his body. Thomas refused help for himself. He wanted officers to check on his wife instead, repeating that she was still inside.
What happened, man?
This is 75-year-old Thomas Mortimer, his life hanging on a thin thread as he's bleeding out from stab wounds to his body. But he refuses the officers' help. He wants them to save his wife, who is still inside the house.
Is your wife here too? Was she attacked? Where is she stabbed? Robert 50 on 2 victims. Start me another squad, please. Are you stabbed in the side? Where's your wife stabbed at? Okay, I'm gonna go check on her, okay? Damn, I got a female victim here inside the house as well.
Backup was requested for 2 victims. Inside the living room, officers located 75-year-old Barbara Mortimer. She had multiple stab wounds, including one to her neck, and she was not responding.
In the living room, Officer Jackson locates 75-year-old Barbara Mortimer. Her body is covered with multiple stab wounds, including a fatal hit to her neck. She isn't responding. Within seconds,
she was pronounced dead at the scene. Whoever had attacked her the evidence at the scene suggested, had wanted her dead. This was not a single defensive wound, but a sustained attack. A bloody kitchen knife sat at the scene. Nearby, an open drawer held smaller knives, untouched, as though whoever did this had gone looking for something specific and larger. Officers searching the house found a bedroom filled with men's clothing and a table covered in psychiatric medications. The victims, it appeared, had not lived alone. That detail reframed the case. Almost immediately, officers now suspected the attacker wasn't a stranger, but someone who had shared the house. A woman who had been on the property that day, identified as Claire, told officers she'd been in a room working on her computer when she saw Thomas come outside covered in blood. She said she believed she heard him say something about being stabbed, and that she'd seen a man matching the description of the family's son run toward the garage area. She gave police his name, Ken, in his 40s, with what she described as ongoing mental health struggles.
Hello. What's your name, ma'am?
Claire Tenenfeld.
Clint Tenenfeld. Do you live here alone?
My husband went out to the swimming pools. No, I don't live here.
But you were here alone when this happened?
Yeah, I was in the room over there on my computer, and I could look out the door.
Did you hear anything or see
Tom
anything?
came out, and he did blood all over him.
Yeah. Did he say anything, or did you hear him say anything?
I think he said somebody's stabbed. Ken is his son's name. He's got mental problems. I think he's in his 40s or something like that.
Okay.
He lives with him. He's there.
Did you see Ken here at the house today?
I think I saw him run around and go into the garage area, but I can't see it.
Okay.
Police finally...
That name led investigators to Kenneth Mortimer, son of Thomas and the now deceased Barbara. According to the earlier eyewitness account, Barbara had fallen on the porch and Kenneth had dragged her back inside, where the fatal wounds were inflicted. Officers also found a trail of blood droplets leading from the body through the yard to the driveway, where it abruptly stopped, evidence that the suspect had left the scene by car. A second 911 call soon followed, from another witness who described a gray Honda leaving the area at speed, turning onto Basswood off Palm Hill.
Exit.
Just called it in, and it looked like somebody got stabbed down the street.
Yeah.
The guy who did the stabbing is leaving in a Honda. It's gray in color. It looks like there's somebody outside the house that got stabbed.
Okay, so I got the plate number. What type of Honda was it again?
I couldn't tell what kind it was. It looks like it was I thought it was a lady got stabbed. It looked like a silver man.
Or SUV?
Sedan. Sedan.
Okay. You know which way they took which direction they took off? Is it out towards like Basswood?
It looked like they went left onto Basswood.
Left on Basswood.
Off of Palm Hill, left onto Basswood.
The caller wasn't certain of the exact model, but the direction and color were enough. Officers broadcast the description to every patrol unit in the region, along with a warning that the suspect might be experiencing a psychiatric crisis and could be dangerous to anyone who encountered him. Barbara Mortimer's daughter, Kim, arrived at the house that same afternoon after her mother stopped answering the phone. Something she said was out of character. She learned in the driveway that her mother was dead and that her brother was the suspect. Her reaction, captured on scene, revealed something investigators hadn't yet grasped. This was not the first warning anyone had received about Kenneth.
We're concerned about Barb. She's not answering her phone. This is not normal.
Okay. If you guys, yeah.
Based on what I'm seeing here, I have an idea.
Barb is dead. She passed away. You guys can go.
Kim, I got her.
Okay.
I got her.
Kim knows that her brother, Kenneth, killed their mother. The news hit her the hardest because Kim knew this was bound to happen one way or another.
I'm so fucking pissed right now.
It's not gonna help. It's not gonna
know how many times we have called the police and they just don't believe us. They just don't fucking believe us.
You know how many times we have called the police and they just don't believe us, she said. They don't believe us. Family members present described previous efforts to get Barbara somewhere safer, citing her cancer diagnosis, later confirmed through medical records and prescription medication found in the home, and a general sense that the household situation had become untenable. A neighbor who'd grown up alongside Kenneth gave investigators a fuller picture of the years leading up to that day. She described a friend group that once included him, and a gradual, almost total withdrawal that she traced back roughly a decade to around the time a mutual friend died. She said Kenneth's parents had stopped allowing him to see old friends afterward, telling her at one point that he wasn't allowed to be around anyone anymore.
Me, Ken, and the guy that used to live here back in the day always hung out. No one's talked to Ken in like 10 years, but he won't talk to me. He hates me. My friend OD'd in the front yard, I guess, and I stopped hanging out with all of them because I don't want to friggin' be hanging out with that shit. And then I guess he lost his marbles kind of when I saw kind of 10 years ago or something. And
does he have any friends? Like, did he isolate himself from everybody?
Like, his parents isolated him. Like, after Andy passed away, I tried to take him like the thing for his layout and stuff, and his mom and dad wouldn't let me see him. Like, they were like, he's not allowed to be around anyone anymore. Something. Jared said it. When Jared
She also flagged an inconsistency worth noting. Friends recalled Kenneth as someone who smoked marijuana but never drank. Yet a detective working the case had described him to her as someone with an alcohol problem. She said she'd never personally seen him drink.
When Jared says it sounds ridiculous and funny, so I laugh, but I'm not laughing.
Was he ever into drugs?
So this is the weird thing. Ken used to only smoke weed and never drink alcohol. But then when we just talked to Mike with Detective Stanley, they said that he was an alcoholic or something now. I was like, I've never seen Ken drink a sip of alcohol. So I guess like when everyone stopped talking, because no one has talked to Ken in like 10 years.
She also mentioned unconfirmed rumors, which she was careful to note she couldn't verify, that Kenneth had been arrested at a local park sometime in the weeks before the killing. A background check filled in what the neighbors hadn't known. In 2022, Kenneth was charged with assaulting a woman in Michigan. Due to competency concerns, a judge sentenced him to 5 months in jail and a further 5 months of psychiatric care, rather than pursuing standard prosecution. After returning to Ohio, he was arrested again in 2023 for indecent exposure in a public park, resulting in probation and a 93-day jail term. In January 2024, that probation was revoked after he failed to complete a required treatment course. Officers located the gray Honda near Mount Airy Forest. Kenneth was inside, covered in blood, and did not attempt to flee or resist arrest. He began talking almost immediately, cursing about his parents and referencing a hospital visit from earlier that year, blaming them for what had happened.
Despite not being in the interrogation room yet, Kenneth doesn't wait for any formalities to start showing his true and quite explicit feelings towards his parents.
Information to the dispatcher.
If you ass motherfuckers didn't drive me down to that fucking hospital the fucking last week of January, this shit would never happen. Who the fuck were those two motherfuckers?
You go ahead. Why they gotta be all that?
Because they're fucking because I got injected in my fucking little bitch.
It's not very nice.
Well, I hope you never have to experience fucking Invega. You probably never heard of it. I don't know. You probably haven't. I just hope you never have to experience Invega.
All right, my man.
During routine booking procedures at the station, before any formal interrogation began, he grew agitated over unrelated requests, at one point repeatedly insisting to officers that they were treating him unfairly for no reason he could identify.
I don't know if they'll be changing them right now or...
Nah, we're gonna wait on that. Kenneth, we're gonna take you inside, okay?
You're good.
Now step on out for us.
So sure I miss me or not.
Follow this gentleman here. Kenneth, we're gonna go over and have a seat on the bench here. Stay up. I'm gonna take the cuffs off you, okay?
Can I please get a glass of water?
Not yet.
Why not? You're being gay. You're being gay. It's all your fault for being gay. You guys drove me down to the University of Cincinnati Hospital because you're being gay. You're being gay.
In the interrogation room, 2 detectives worked to build rapport, starting with routine questions about where Kenneth lived and how he supported himself. He said he'd moved back in with his parents around 2015 after periods of living there on and off for years, that he hadn't worked since a 6-month stint delivering food the previous year, and that his parents covered his expenses. He volunteered, unprompted, that he'd spent 5 months in a Michigan psychiatric hospital in 2022 and said flatly that he didn't care about anything. Detectives used the opening.
So, how long have you been living with mom and dad?
Since on and off, pretty much for 25 years, but I've been living there since like 2000.
What followed was less a confession than an account delivered with striking detachment. Kenneth told detectives the trigger was a shower curtain weeks earlier. He'd cut it up because the sound of running water stressed him, then used a towel to catch the overflow instead. His mother discovered the towel that day and became upset, buying a replacement curtain and confronting him for roughly half an hour, by his estimate.
I cut up the shower curtain because the sound of the shower was stressing me out, so I cut a piece off, and then I had to use a towel to put outside the bathtub because water was leaking down, and she found a towel with a pretty soaked heavy towel, and she got upset.
Okay. When did you cut the shower curtain? Was it today? Was it yesterday?
A few weeks ago. I've been putting the towel down to stop the water from getting on the floor outside the bathtub.
And then she's been kind of on you about that for the last couple of weeks?
No, she just found out today that that's what I was doing, and she just got upset and was furious, and she went out to, I guess, bought a shower curtain at Target or Walmart or something.
How long was she kind of griping at you and yelling at you today about it?
I don't know, probably for like half an hour.
Yeah, and after half an hour of that, you got pretty mad?
I don't remember. I just left.
When did you leave?
I don't remember. I just left a couple times today, and I went out and I bought a couple beers, and I went to the park, and I went to Mount Airy Forest and drove around, and then I drove back to the house.
This claim might sound somewhat reasonable to Kenneth, but it doesn't.
He said she told him repeatedly that he wasn't allowed to stay at the house that night, and that she and Thomas were preparing to call the mental health crisis unit. Asked why that mattered so much, he said, that was the last straw. Later in the same interview, explaining what he needed that night, he added separately, I needed a drink tonight. I have alcohol use disorder.
Can we cut to the chase here? I mean, what do you want to know?
I want to know why you stabbed your mom.
Because she told me that they were going to call the crisis unit on me, and that was the last. She told me I wasn't allowed to stay there tonight, and she said that like 4 or 5 times, and then they were getting their phones, and calling the crisis unit, and I wasn't having it.
So why
that was the
didn't you
last straw.
Why didn't you want them to call the crisis unit?
Because they're stupid. What do you mean? They're fucking stupid.
The crisis unit is?
Yeah.
You haven't had any luck dealing with those folks?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I can understand. No, I'm sympathizing with you. I can't understand, how you feel. That's why I'm trying to get at how you feel and what set you off today.
I just told you they were picking up their phones to call the crisis unit, and that was the last straw. I had to stay in the hospital, and the first time it was ridiculous, and the second time it was even more ridiculous, and then the third time it was a joke, and then the fourth time it was 5 months in Michigan, which was just boring, and then it was the fifth time, which they called the crisis unit on me. And
have you been to the psychiatric unit here since you've been back from Michigan in 2022?
Yeah, I mean, you guys drove me down to the University of Cincinnati Hospital, and the last day of January, and pretty much the last day of January, you guys drove me down to the hospital.
And you didn't want that to happen again today?
Yeah, there was no way. I was dealing with another psychiatrist. I was not dealing with another psychiatrist, and I have an alcohol problem, and I needed to drink tonight. I needed a drink tonight. That was it. I needed a drink. I have alcohol use disorder.
That detail alone finally explains Kenneth's attack sequences. He targeted his father first to prevent him from calling 911 or psychiatric services.
Kenneth described stabbing his father first on the couch before turning to his mother when she stood up.
She just said, "You're not staying here." And I told her to shut up. And I told her to shut up again. And then my dad said, "Should we call the police?" And my mom said, "The police aren't going to do anything. We need to call the crisis unit." And I just grabbed a knife, stabbed my dad in the fucking head.
Okay. Where was Dad when that happened?
He was sitting on the couch.
So your dad was on the couch when that happened?
Yeah.
And then what about Mom? What was Mom doing when that happened?
When I stabbed him, she stood up and she went, "Ah!" I guess I just stabbed her. I don't really remember. She just started going outside, and I just...
Kenneth laughs as he remembers stabbing his parents and even mocking his own mother's reaction. What's worse, he is showing no...
He described chasing her onto the porch, pushing her down, and dragging her back inside to continue the attack, though he said he couldn't recall many specifics about the number of wounds. He estimated the knife's length with his hands and confirmed he deliberately reached for the largest blade in the kitchen, rather than one within easier reach. A detail that matched what officers had already observed at the scene, where smaller knives sat untouched nearby.
So, the biggest kitchen knife in the house.
When you say the biggest, about how long was it?
It was like that long.
Okay. Was it like a bread knife or a...
No, it was a big knife. It was a big, long knife.
Okay. Where is that knife now, do you know?
I don't know. It's probably sitting at my house, unless you guys took it as evidence. What, you want me to stab somebody else?
Indeed, the murder weapon is noticeably bigger than the rest of the knives found at the scene, and once he got it, nothing could stop him.
You stabbed Mom?
He recounted his father eventually walking toward the back door, asking him to stop before Kenneth exited through the front and drove away. He declined to say where he'd driven afterward.
Stop him.
You stabbed Mom first, is that right?
No, I stabbed my dad first.
Okay. And you just continued to sit there until your mom got up?
He just sat there. I think I stabbed him a couple times or something, and my mom stood up and went, "Ah!"
And then she tried to go to, she went out the front door.
Yeah.
And she made it to, what, the porch? I haven't been to the house, so.
She was just on the porch, yeah.
Was she sitting on the steps? Was she standing?
I pushed her to the ground or something. I don't remember.
Okay. So you pushed her to the ground on the porch. And you drug her back into the house?
Yeah.
Where did you drag her to?
Just right inside the house, right inside the house.
So when you go in the front door of your house, is that the living room or is there a foyer?
There's just the living room there. Yeah, it's just a foyer, I guess, or something. I don't know.
So you drug her through the front door, into the porch, or I'm sorry, from the porch, in the front door, into the living room.
Yeah.
And then what'd you do?
I guess I stabbed her some more, I guess. I don't know.
Do you remember how many times or where?
No, I don't remember.
And where was your dad at that point?
I think he started like walking. I think he was like in the kitchen and he just told me to stop, I guess, maybe, or something. And then he started to walk. I was like, what is he doing? He's standing in the kitchen like this. And then he walked into the TV room towards the back door and he just told me to stop, please. I just said, please stop. He's killing me. And I was just like, and he ended up walking out the back door.
And once he walked out the back door, did you follow?
No, I think I went out the front door.
So you went out the front door, and then where'd you go?
I just got in my car and left.
Okay. Do you remember where you drove?
No, I'm not talking about it anymore.
Okay.
When detectives asked whether he'd thought about hurting his parents, or himself, or anyone else before that day, he refused to answer each question in turn, offering no explanation beyond saying he simply wasn't going to answer. When detectives pressed further on motive, one moment stood out. Kenneth told them she got what she asked for. She wasn't real. Asked to explain, he described a psychological evaluation days earlier and recounted hearing a knock at the door with no one there, then seeing what he described as two versions of his mother in the house at once. Taken together with his own account of hearing and seeing things that weren't there, detectives treated this as a sign of active hallucinations rather than a figure of speech.
They've just been really bad. She wasn't real. She was acting like she was going to commit to get me to feel sorry for her and have sympathy. She did it 3 times and she laughed about it. She thought it was funny. And
So this is over your whole lifetime, over the last couple months, last years?
Ever since I got back from Michigan,
okay.
I delivered food for 6 months and then it was over.
Yeah. Well, we're just trying to figure out why did things blow up today to the point.
I told you she was picking up the phone to call the crisis unit.
Okay, and you just weren't going to let that happen today.
That was the last straw. She got what she asked for. She wasn't real.
It is completely unclear what Kenneth means by not being real, and in this case, the suspect may as well have his own meaning for the word, and that's exactly what the detective wants to make Kenneth uncover for them.
She got what she asked for, and she wasn't real.
What do you mean she wasn't real?
She wasn't real. I don't know what to tell you. I had to deal with a psychologist giving me a psychological exam last week on August 1st. And I had to tell her, well, she asked me if I hear or see anything. And I told her that I was in bed and I heard a knock on the door at like 8:30 in the morning. And I'm like, what the hell was that? I thought I was going to be arrested. So I immediately get out of bed and I look out the window, the front door, and there's nobody there. And there's nobody around, like nobody could have ran away that fast. They would have had to, like, run immediately as fast as they can, run around to the left side of my house so I couldn't see them.
What do you think you were going to do?
And it doesn't matter, because you're arresting me for no reason. And that doesn't matter because the knock on the door, there's nobody there. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go downstairs, my mom's sitting there, and she says, I say, what's going on with this knock at the door? And she's like, I didn't hear a knock. So that's it. All right, so, and then I hear her walking upstairs in the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, she's upstairs doing something in the bathroom, and she was being loud, and I turn the corner, and I hear the stuff upstairs, and I turn the corner, and she's right there in the bathroom downstairs, and I was like, there's just two of her. I don't know.
This is
Detectives also noted an inconsistency during a related procedure. While consenting to a DNA swab, Kenneth grew confused and appeared to question whether the detective present was real, asking disjointed questions that suggested he did not fully register the interaction as genuine. He showed no comparable distrust toward that same detective earlier in booking, a contrast investigators found notable, though its exact cause was never made explicit on record.
We're going to rub a Q-tip on the inside of your mouth. And it just says you don't have to let us do that.
Okay, well, then I'm not going to let you do it then.
Okay, well, here's how it goes. You can do whatever you want. It's certainly up to you. But this is a process. It's a serious process. And we're just asking for your help and cooperation. You've been kind and agreeable with me. This is a Q-tip. We do need this. So if you don't consent, you're just going to be here longer because we've got a search warrant to get it from you before we take it.
All right, fine, then do it.
Okay, cool. Can you do that?
I don't know what your problem with me is.
Okay, well, you just yelled at me.
I don't know what your problem with me is. I mean, you obviously have a problem with me, so...
Ken, who brought you water?
I don't know why you have a problem with me. Why do you have a problem with me?
Okay.
For some reason, Kenneth is tensed up. The second detective grows cautious and watches Kenneth's every move, preparing for the worst. But what happens next only proves the police's darkest suspicions about their suspect.
What's that?
Are you kidding me?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you real?
Okay.
Is he real?
Let's try this, Ken. Can you take your left hand and put it out like this for me? Like flat down?
Why does this matter? Why are you doing this?
Why do you think you're here, Ken?
Well, why are you saying that? Why is he saying this? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up, dude? Where are you from, man?
Okay. Can you flip your hand upside down?
Why is he doing this?
There is a high chance that what Kenneth just experienced here was another delusion. He could not believe the detective was real, a human being who does his job. And that's what's interesting. The suspect doesn't feel the same aggression towards the second detective who watches him closely. To Kenneth, he appears to be normal. The detective quickly finishes the procedure and leaves the room to stop the suspect from growing even more anxious. But this
Thomas Mortimer survived his injuries, which included a fractured rib and a punctured lung, and recovered in the hospital. 1 year later, on August 8, 2025, a Hamilton County judge sentenced 41-year-old Kenneth Mortimer to a minimum of 45 years in prison. He pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter, attempted murder, kidnapping, and felonious assault after prosecutors agreed to reduce the most serious charge from aggravated murder, which would have carried a potential life sentence. What remains unresolved is the question Kim Mortimer raised before her mother's death was even confirmed. How many warnings had to go unanswered before the system responded? Watching the case unfold, it's hard not to ask what, if anything, might have changed the outcome earlier.